Welcome back, everyone. Today I have something new. It's a jailhouse letter to Wade Wilson from a lady I call Jennifer from Germany. At first, I thought this was an older letter, maybe something that fell out of the bushes at least a year ago, but no, she wrote this letter to Wade July 27th of this year. She lays out how she is smarter than all of the U.S. and the judicial system involved. She is going to save Wade, even though she thinks Illinois is on the East Coast and that TripAdvisor posts are the smoking guns that will free him. Just an editing note, there is a part when she references one of his victims, Kristen Melton. I redacted part of what she said, not only out of respect for the family, but because, in my opinion, was not necessary. Shout out to phone calls from prison and Jumpsuit Pablo for putting this on my radar. Let's get started.
Wade, listen very carefully. Hey Wade, it's Jennifer from Germany. I don't speak English very well, but I hope you still understand me. I need to know where you met Melissa. Can you explain this to me? I know that you are innocent. I watched all the negotiations on Law and Order and spent nights researching to prove your innocence. You immediately noticed that something is wrong with the whole case. I also wrote to your lawyer, Mr. Lee Hollander, but he ignores me. First, I'll write to you about all the discrepancies and then the evidence that all the witnesses are in cahoots. I know from social media that many women write to you because you are beautiful. But I'm not like the other woman. I really want to save your life. And even though I'm German, I don't care about your swastikas because this is about you and not about your tattoos. 1. Christine Melton. You met at the Buddha bar and didn't have an argument, just fun and sex. You had no motive to kill Christine. Everyone did cocaine with Jason Shepard, but Jason gave you other drugs. During the negotiation, Jason emphasized that Melissa is a very beautiful woman. The two know each other, but I'll explain that you in a moment. If you had killed Christine, you wouldn't have just left her in the middle of the house. Even if you had rigor mortis, you could have carried her because she was rolled up in clothes. It makes no difference whether the body is hard or soft because when rolled up, it always has the same shape. Your DNA wasn't found on Melton. No DNA from Melton was found on you either. The prosecutor says that you unlocked Christine's iPhone with her dead face using Face ID. How can you use your phone all day long if you need her face to unlock it? An iPhone only unlocks with your eyes open. If your eyes are closed, it doesn't work. I have checked the iPhone locks itself again after a few minutes. That means you must have known Christine's code, and that is proof that you didn't steal the cell phone and that Christine was still alive when you left her house. The real perpetrator wanted Christine to be found quickly and deliberately left her lying in the middle of the house. Your clothing tested negative for blood. According to the doctor, Christine had bruising under her scalp from blunt force trauma. This means that there must be a murder weapon. After a murder weapon, the type of crime was not investigated. 2. Melissa Montanez. Melissa knew that you wanted to go with Jason. That's why she said during the interrogation that she didn't want to go with strangers. So Melissa knew that you were staying with Jason Shepard for the night. Mila doesn't know where you met. Every woman knows where she first met her partner or when they met. But she deliberately doesn't say it. I'll tell you why. If Mila's nose exploded and there was blood everywhere, why wasn't there blood found on you? Mila and Joshua know each other. She has a photo together on Facebook from February 14, 2019. Benson's witness says the attack to Mila at 7:30 a.m. Mila says she slept until 8 a.m. and then saw your calls and messages. Amy says in her interview with the police, she did cocaine and met someone at the Buddha bar and spent the night there. I tried to contact her several times in the morning hours, but she was unavailable. At 8 a.m., she called me back. October 7. In the trial, Amy says that Mila spent the night on the sofa with her. That's a lie. Joshua Lukic knew about the attack on Mila at Mila's spa before you were at Mateo Graphic. Someone called him and told him what was happening. Once again, proof that all the accomplices were in contact with each other on the day of the crimes. They all kept each other updated so that their plan would work. There are no blood visible in the footage from Mateo Graphic's surveillance camera. I don't think you can see any tattoos on you either. Was that even you? You are being forced into silence, I know that. And you received your first threat when your parents' house burned down. That was a message to you to keep your mouth shut. Who forced you to give a statement to the police? I know you're under pressure, but I can help you solve the whole case. All the witnesses think they're smart, but I'm smarter. Your father is very nervous about his statement. He says mom all the time and keeps gripping his legs. I'm sorry to say this, but your father sold you for money that day. He has debts, which you can easily research on the internet. I know that your father and your father's wife have a criminal record. Your father's wife reported him for battery, touch, or strike. Why does your father emphasize that you are a good storyteller? Even though a police officer called him before and said they were looking for you, your father still said you were a storyteller. And I also know why. Because of your mental illness, everyone calls you crazy. That's why your father says storyteller, so that the jury knows that they can't believe anything you say because you're crazy. I also have panic attacks and an anxiety disorder, but that doesn't mean we're crazy. 4. Diana Rees. Diane's wallet was intentionally placed at the school as bait so the police would quickly become aware of Diane and connect you to it. You couldn't have strangled Ruiz with one hand in the car. If Ruiz is fighting for her life and defending herself, you can't drive normally. You would have to get into an accident or drive off the road. Witnesses should have seen this because it was mid-morning and in the middle of the town. They say you should have driven over Ruiz 10 to 20 times. Then why don't the police examine the underside of the car? The area where Ruiz was found was uneven. There should have been hair, skin, clothing, or blood on the underside of the car, and the police still didn't examine the underside of the car. According to statements, Ruiz was never absent from work. Still, no one at work reported her missing. One of Ruiz's co-workers tells the police officer that it's very unusual that Ruiz doesn't come to work. If it's so unusual, why doesn't anyone report it, contact Ruiz's family? If you had been covered in Montense's blood because her nose exploded, Ruiz would never have gotten in the car with you. Wade, I also know how Ruiz's cell phone got into the Nissan. I'll tell you that in a moment. 5. Patrick Power. Patrick says he saw the Nissan on the property at 12 p.m. or later. 207 Northwest 4th Place. Ruiz started work on October 7th, 2019 at 9:30 a.m. That means Ruiz must have been in the car with you for a full 3 hours. That makes absolutely no sense. Power then wanted to take a look straight away. What was going on the property, but forgot it. Plus, Power couldn't see who drove the car. Wade, where were you really in the time from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m.? They grabbed you, that's right, and what to say to your father on the phone, am I right? You hurt your teeth there too. Who did this to you among the perpetrators? I know your confession to the police wasn't real. I heard it and it was way too dramatic. You tried to convince the police that you committed the murders. That's why it was important to you to sell the story as best possible. I'm not sure if the call to your father actually happened, or whether you all told the story right away. Otherwise, your father's wife would have called the police and not messaged the police. They would have heard your confession live on the phone, but since the call probably never happened, they couldn't broadcast the call live to the police. You were forced to confess, and the real perpetrators blackmailed you between 9:30 a.m. and around 12 p.m., hurt you and put you under pressure that they would do something to your family if you didn't take responsibility for the murders. Wade, I know because I'm very smart about such things. You can't fool me. And now I'll explain to you why all the witnesses know and you were framed. I studied every witness and their family and acquaintances on the internet for days. I also have a lot of screenshots that prove my statements. I put them in the letter for you. Joshua Lukic and Melissa have known each other for a long time. The two have a photo together on Mila's Facebook profile from February 14, 2019. They both have connections to Mila's husband. Lorenzo Pietro Del Vecchio is a registered secondary offender. You can also see this on the internet at jacksonville.com. There he is listed under ex-offender near North Nicholas High School in Cape Coral. All of the witnesses in your trial have connections to each other and are criminals. It was no coincidence that you met Jason Shepard at the Buddha bar. He lured you. They all wanted to get rid of you on purpose and frame you for the murders. On TripAdvisor, an internet site with reviews from customers of Mila's spa, 3 customers wrote that you should not get closer than 50 feet to Melissa as a man because otherwise you will be done for. Mila's spa reviews say, on Sunday, April 9, 2017, a man by himself at the annual Barbecue Bands and Brew event being held at the Alliance for the Arts was attacked and viciously hurled into the dirt by Mila's husband-boyfriend at the time, Lorenzo De Vecchio. Lorenzo attacked the man because Mila was having conversation with the man, and Lorenzo hates it when any other man gets within 30 feet or less of Mila, including at any bar, restaurant, club, or event. Lorenzo never ever allows Mila to interact with other guys unless it is strictly for business reasons only. And I think I'll agree with Rambo. In Chicago, guys that approach within less than 100 feet, not 30 feet, of any woman that is in a relationship with, engaged, or married to another man get worse than thrown into the dirt. In Chicago, they get downright blasted to shreds by about 50 cop killers with stolen assault weapons known in Chicago as a flash mob. In Chicago, guys don't even go alone to bars or nightclubs anymore because they know they'll get annihilated. And Chicago will fit Mila and Lorenzo Del Vecchio perfectly. In Chicago, all guys will flee from Mila and Lorenzo, as they do when near all unrelated couples there. On a side note, in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, it's actually illegal for guys to be out in public unaccompanied. It's enforced by the Toronto Police Department and can easily result in a one-way trip to Toronto East Detention Centre. And in Toronto, women don't even call the police anymore when they see a man by himself. It's illegal for men to be alone in public, and Toronto police officers often simply approach any man they see alone and arrest them without warning. Maybe Toronto, where guys that go out alone often end up in jail, might even fit Mila and Lorenzo. Guys approach within 50 feet or less of Mila Montanez at any bar, restaurant, concert, event, or at any park, beach, or outdoor area, and you are playing with a bomb. You know what Lorenzo already did in 2017 at the Barbecue Bands Brew event. And he will become vicious and destructive again with any other guy that approaches within less than 50 feet of Mila, as he did at Barbecue Bands Brew in 2017. And now that they're married, it may be even worse than at Barbecue Bands Brew 2017. So I see Mila and Lorenzo are married, but there is one more thing as guys in Florida are ordering you both to do, and that is to relocate back to Chicago, Illinois. US guys in Southwest Florida are tired of having to walk in 50-plus foot circles around you too, due to Lorenzo's aggressive nature towards other guys, like that stunt he pulled in 2017 at Barbecue Bands and Brew. In Chicago, all guys will give Mila 50-plus feet of personal space, exactly like Lorenzo wants, in places like Millennium Park, Lincoln Park, Oak Street Beach, Michigan Avenue, and whatnot. Most guys will give Mila 100-plus feet of personal space. Single guys and guys that are alone generally don't go out anymore in Chicago, as they all too often become victims of shootings, homicides, stabbings, and brawls at Chicago's bars and nightclubs, as well as even most tourist attractions like Navy Pier, Lincoln Park, Michigan Avenue, Millennium Park, even including the popular Crown Fountain. And guys are learning more and more that in Chicago proper, approaching within even 60 feet or less of a woman is as likely to get a guy blasted to shreds by 50-plus armed cop killers with stolen assault weapons known in Chicago as a flash mob, as pounding a hornet's nest with a baseball bat is likely to get a person swarmed and stung by a bunch of angry hornets. P.S. Mila and Lorenzo, as far as I know it, have been together since 2014, if not earlier, and Florida guys are tired of walking in 50-plus foot circles around them every time we see them at a bar, a nightclub, a concert, or at an event like live music, karaoke, trivia, or at something like Barbecue Bands and Brew, or at bike night, or at the county fair. Seriously, Honolulu. That's where they're having their honeymoon. Why not Chicago? Why not even Detroit or St. Louis? So clearly, their mission is to steal paradise from us other guys by striking terror into our hearts. Lorenzo will blast any other guy to smithereens that gets within a football field of Mila. All you other guys out there, you better be as terrified of Lorenzo and Mila getting within 75 feet or less of you as you should be, of sitting on the train tracks with a loaded freight train 15 seconds away and barreling towards you at 200 miles per hour, and I mean 200 miles per hour. All of these reviews texts were written by different people. Unfortunately, I don't yet know what happened in this bar in 2017, but I'll find out too. That's why it's so important that I know how you met Mila. Mila and Lorenzo have been together since 2014 and are now married. Mila got the Dodge Hellcat from Glenn Buscemi. Why does Buscemi give Mila a car worth $80,000? Listen, it gets worse. Joshua Lukic's wife was charged with driving under influence in 2022. And now guess who her lawyer is? Hanukkah Daniel, Lee Hollander's partner. That's why Hollander doesn't try to represent you. He doesn't care what happens to you. And your father testified against you because he has debts. You can see it under a register on the internet, and Lorenzo offered him a lot of money if he testified against you. And who is a trustworthy witness who will never turn against his child if it were a lie? A father would say so. So, of course, the jury thought you were the murderer because your father testified against you and he would never lie because you are his son. This way, they have a credible witness to make the story real for the jury. But it's not just Lorenzo who's behind it. His whole band New Machine are murderers, but he's the boss of them all. He is also called Zoe, that is his nickname. You are right in the interview that Mila Spa is used for prostitution and human trafficking and drugs. Amy was or is a stripper at Scarlet in Fort Myers. She is also a part of everything. This is how Mila and Amy met. And it all runs through the Del Vecchio family. Mila Spa is just a cover. Through Mila Spa costumers, they also come to New Victims Woman. Lauren Brittany Dumolo was a customer at Mila Spa. And she has been since 2020 missing. This is a huge criminal ring. And you became a victim of them. She knew that you were mentally ill and that no one would believe you because of that. And again, the poll with the DNA from you was also intentional because they knew that you had a criminal record for SA with weapon. It's supposed to look like it was you who redacted Christine. The cell phones got into the Nissan through Lukic. And I also know when the police first saw the Nissan at Mateo's Graphics. Until the police arrived, Joshua was alone in the car because you were trying to escape to the Arnlin family. At that time, he put Diane's cell phone in the car. Reese's blood in the car was placed there intentionally by the real perpetrators, so that the police think that you have already abused them during the trip. But Reese was only killed by the perpetrators after you briefly took her away. You were followed by them all night long. Jason told the perpetrators when you left his house. Now, it makes sense why no DNA from the victims was found on you, but only on the objects that were supposed to point to you. Because you didn't kill the victims, but Lorenzo's. Because they laid all the clues themselves to make it look like you were the perpetrator. And Jason didn't give your phone back to you on purpose. He was responsible for setting you up with Christine, drugging you so you wouldn't know what was going on behind your back, and destroying the evidence on your phone. That's why he didn't give it to the police until 3 or 4 days later. Jason Shepard and Joshua Lukic's wife were neighbors for a long time. Her family sister currently still lives there. There is only one at Wales Drive Street from Sunbury Drive, and that's where Jason Shepard lives. The Hellcat was found at the Edison bar next day. And by chance, Amy found the Hellcat the very next day. Amy says in the trial that Mila was with her all night. That was a lie. In her statement agency report number 201, she says, and I quote, she doesn't have a specific drug of choice but know to use cocaine and met some from the Buddha bar and spent the night there. I going to contact her several times throughout the early morning hours, but she was not reachable and been calling around 8 a.m. Today, October 7. This means that Mila was with one person all night and not with Amy. Joshua has a previous conviction for strangulation. Rosemary's a monster. She writes on many social media that you deserve the death penalty and you are a murderer. You are not the man in the video at Matteo's Graphics. Your tattoos are missing and your gait is completely wrong. And now, listen. There were two Nissans at 12 p.m. The Nissan is captured on camera at Matteo's Graphic. During interrogation, police officer Christopher Anzalone says he got the call at 1:37 p.m. and drove to Matteo's Graphics immediately after the call. There, the Nissan was impounded and loaded onto a tow truck and transported to the police station. Officer Timothy McCormick's body camera captured you at 3:17 p.m., taken in the parking lot of Joe's Crab Shack, taken in a black Nissan. How are you supposed to own the Nissan in the afternoon when it's already taken into police custody at that time? I will publish everything. I will fight for justice until you are a free man. I will include all TV channels, newspapers, and social media flood with truth. Judge Thompson should too ashamed that he didn't see these noticeable mistakes as a judge or simply ignored. This is not fair to the victims and their families. It's not fair to you. Germany is the country of thinker and poet, and I will prove that I am a woman who thinks more than any jury and judge in America. I promise you. I will help you, I promise you. The perpetrators are still in Cape Coral or Fort Myers on the way. Nobody can fool me. I also immediately understood your hidden signs. Your sign, East Coast, should give me a clue to the east of the USA. And Mila and Lorenzo lived in Chicago, and Lorenzo is from Illinois, both in the East. I immediately understood your help me in the negotiation where you spoke with your mouth. Who forced you to confess? And who really knocked your teeth out, Wade? Who can I write all this to so that they finally understand that you are not the murderer? Please answer me. I send you a request in Smart Communication. My name is JENNIFER19923 Wade. I know you are not a monster. Please stay strong. Kind regards. Jennifer Thiel, 32, from Germany.
So, folks, there you have it. If you find this whole Wade Wilson mess as fascinating as I do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I can't wait to see what phone calls from prison and all the other vloggers here on YouTube have in store for us regarding this saga. I can only imagine what the kiosk text messages will look like. Until the next time I upload, have a great and wonderful day.